It's probably not appropriate for me to start this with the peace greeting, so I'll avoid it for this time in case I wind up sounding hypocritical later. But part three is where I'm going to tell you about, three major points actually in this. The first point of this part three is that the games that these sisters have played on us for decades are not our fault, but the ease with which they played them and the success they've encountered playing these games for as long as they encountered it are our fault. The ease and the success they found are completely our fault. And I've talked about that before when I've said that the fault of men is being too easy. Everything else falls under that, but this is one of our faults, which falls right under that. We let them play that game. For decades, even centuries, with no internet, let alone social media, we've let them coordinate and talk with each other while we did not even so much as try to keep abreast of the games they play. And one of the first things we've got to tell some of these young brothers is that women are busy coordinating with each other and keeping secrets. They're busy coordinating with pretty much conspiring and keeping us ignorant of it, even their own sons, brothers, and cousins, even if they love them. That's one of the first things we need to tell these young guys. Women's priority is mystery for a reason. Coordination with each other and mystery to us. Why the hell is that? It's the first thing we need to tell some of these young brothers. This way, when a man comes along and starts to explain women to them, he doesn't believe the bullshit. That's important. I had to tell my son this. When he was younger, I had to tell him, look, son, no woman's going to sit up and tell you what they want. And that's not your fault, but you got to know what it is anyway. So I'm going to tell you. And so my son is in a position now in which, as a husband, he gets to learn more about how to be a husband because he's already ahead of the curve that it takes to keep her. Even though she's not from the West and she's not ratchet and any of that stuff, there's still enough that there's enough knowledge that he has to where he wouldn't mess it up even with an innocent woman. Because even innocent women have their secrets if you don't learn them. And so therefore I got to tell you what I had to tell him. And it seems to have worked out for him so far. I also want you guys to know and to understand that the divesting that we talked about in part one plays a role in what we're going to have to do about what we've done wrong, which is be too easy. We've been too easy. That's our mistake. And I want you guys to keep track of what the hell that means. No internet, no social media. The women were coordinating, keeping us in the dark. Western women in general were doing this, but sisters were really vicious and nasty with it. The internet did not change things until social media within the internet was invented. Then, only because some men began to decide to tell the truth about what they had observed, did certain things start to leak. Men's rights activists and then professional bodybuilders and personal trainers began to say, I'm out here smashing these women and they're married and the husbands are paying for me to get them in shape and they're screwing me. It's body game. Consequently, we don't trust these broads enough to marry any of them because we're smashing other men's wives. These men are coming out and saying this. And more men are coming out and stating what they've noticed. Now, when the internet came out, from 95, when it started to become household, until about, let's say, 2005, when social media really started taking off. Really from 95, what women want and were lying about to men should have been readily available for men to find out. But it wasn't. Because men weren't going to go and say, well, this chick did me that wrong and that chick did me that wrong. They weren't willing to do that. because immediately dudes and women were programmed to say, well, what is it about you that they're treating you this way? That's true when you deal with a woman that constantly tells you that every man she's involved with mistreats her. That's true. What are you doing wrong? When a man is constantly mistreated by the women he's dealing with, that's not automatically the question to go to. What is it about you? Hell, he's normal and average. That's enough for a lot of women to mistreat him. And as time is going on, the average man gets worse and worse treatment because the women are more demanding of more and more above average in all the metrics. It took the invention of social media and then a few more years for us to be able to find this out. Now I'm getting somewhere with this. I'm going to land this jet black aircraft. What I'm telling you is that already we're now coming to understand. We've for a few years now we've realized that Western women have been involved in one of the biggest conspiracies involving human beings. And really, it might be safe to say that women around the globe have been involved in it. Because when Esther Villar wrote her book, she wasn't specifying just the Western woman. Not at all. But the viciousness of this does come largely from the West. So we've come to find out that sisters pretty much have been preferring Brad all this time. All this time, they've been pretending to be race loyal. It's been Brad they want. This puts a lot of other things into a different explanation for us, like why you've got these, these beautiful black women that are part of the pro-black movement, but they got these kids that look like daddy was super light skinned. No, daddy wasn't super light skinned. He was white. And he wasn't daddy. He was just father. He split. And she can't sit up and tell you that she effed a white dude. So what does she say? Well, he had green eyes and his hair was brown and his family, I was too dark for the family. And so he split. And then, and now you got this. Now, because of that, you pretty much have a lot of people in the pro-black movement that don't trust men my shade. I'm to the point now, I expect my people to not trust me when I first meet somebody. I don't expect them to trust me and I don't blame them. I give them time. I expect to be distrusted. It's not even personal anymore. But it continues on. It goes further and further. And I have to tell you that I got to tell you that this is really sad to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. With regard to the divesting, we know what the results are. We're going to have to let them continue on that path, even though the results, at minimum, when the news is involved at all, at minimum, the results are violent and sometimes fatal. And here's why I'm saying that they're going to have to go down that path with no interference from us. You know how they've, the sistren have all been involved in this conspiracy. I mean, almost every last one of them have been involved in this conspiracy and secrecy, and they've shut us out as much as they possibly could. I mean, it's known now, but before it was known, look how long it went on, right? All the games, everything. The whole time we've been a hustle to them. Now I'm saying that again for a specific reason. The day that I got ready to leave here to go visit the United States on my last trip during the summer, my wife walked out with me to the gate with my bag, and she helped me put the bag in the trunk because of my back. The Uber driver opened his trunk up, and she gave me a hug, and I really didn't want to leave that. Oh my God, I did not want to leave that woman. 5 weeks, I did not want to leave her for 5 weeks. But I did want to see my family, and I needed to, and I'm glad I did. But I didn't want to leave her for 5 weeks. I don't like living away from her during the week now. I got back from visiting her yesterday in her town. As soon as I'm done with this recording, I'm going to sleep so that I can cut down on the length of time that I'm awake and conscious without her. But the Uber driver didn't see her very well. That's just as good. It's not his business anyway. Later on, when the Uber driver was on the way to the airport, and we were talking about language in general, because obviously, Arabic's my not even second language. And I told him, I told him that my wife was fluent in three languages, and I was jealous, kind of. And he said, "Oh, mashallah. So, what are they? English and what else?" And I said, "Well, she speaks Arabic like you do, English like me, and then she speaks her parents' language." And he asked what that was, and I said, "It's the Somali language." And he said, "Wait, your wife is Somali?" And I said, "Yeah." So he said, "Is your wife black?" And I said, "Bruh, she's Somali. That's a black country." "Yeah, she's black." And he said, "You don't," and so he said, "Do you not mind the color?" And I looked at him, I said, "Sir, take a good look at me in the rearview mirror. I know I'm light skinned, but look at my nose and my lips. Why would I mind a black woman?" He still didn't get it. Partially because he had to keep his eyes on the road too. That is his job. So I just went in and told him, "Listen, yeah, I'm light skinned, but I'm also black. I'm West African. She's East African. There's no problem with her blackness, sir. She's not abnormal between the two of us. I'm the one that doesn't look normal for our people. You're asking me if I mind her color? Why the hell would I mind?" Now, I don't have an inferiority complex, but I told the man, just to drive this point home to him, that if anybody should mind the other one's color, she had more of a right to have a problem with mine. Because people that were my color were the problem when it came to race relations. And I didn't say black people. I said to him pretty much, it's non-black people that look like me that are the problem when it comes down to race relations. This is not a man who hated any particular race, but he took it for granted that a non black man or even a black man like me would not choose a black woman over other women. This man, and he's one of these conservative men, nice guy, but conservative. This man just thought it was a human instinct. You think I'm playing? No, most of you in my audience don't think I'm playing, but sisters that you know in your lives don't think that this is real. I don't believe that men are born around the globe with a dispreference for black women, but they quickly learn it. And men who come from cultures in which you stay the F out of somebody else's business about who he marries, like this culture here, still have a pressure that they can feel and they're sensitive to it to not marry black women. And they succumb to that pressure. If a man here prefers black women, he will have her as a second wife, which is not going to be treated like his first, or as a girlfriend in general. Usually that's how it is. He is not seen as being a success by virtue of that. The congratulations he would get for getting married are not the same when he marries a black woman. I'm telling you that right now. I'm letting y'all know this straight away. I want you guys to keep that in mind. These sistren are not going to believe when we tell them that other men simply don't look at them as equals. And the extent to which they're disadvantaged when it comes down to interracial dating. Even if they believe that there's a disadvantage, they don't believe the extent to which it is, because even though we would agree with sisters that there's no inborn instinct that men have from the womb or from their DNA that makes them look at black women like, oh God, no, last pick. It's still so deeply entrenched in culture without even being expressly taught as a sentence that by the time these men reach puberty, last thing they want is a sister. that is entrenched in them. Sisters are still at a disadvantage, the same as if it was an instinct, even though it's not. This is everything. What can we do about how long we've been too goddamn easy? We're going to have to just sit back and let them, like Edward Allen Anderson has said. AC has said, don't go after them, sisters. Don't let them come after you either. But not only that, tell them, listen, just go ahead and get your whitey. Get you a white adjacent Arab or a white adjacent Asian or something. But get you one of them. Go ahead and get you one of them. I'm not your type anyway. If they come to you and they're approaching you and you find out why they're approaching you, just be like, I'm obviously not your type. Go get one of them. Now, other races are going to look and say, well, what is going on with black women that they're pursuing each other and they're pursuing non-black men so heavily? What's going on? And then they're going to start asking you if they're your friends. And this is what you say to them, because I've told you before that the Westernisha, white or black, wants to export the feminism and the misandry and the militancy, right? I told you that. And they do. They're trying it. They're trying hard. They're trying to put it in Rio, Sao Paulo, Bogota, Medellin. They're trying to put it in Sosua. They're trying to put it in Pattaya, Bangkok. They're trying to put it into these places. I told you that before. Did I not tell you that before? I said this. They're trying to put it there. They're trying to put it in Kuala Lumpur. They're trying to put it in Jakarta. So this is what I'm going to tell you next. When they start to ask you, and this is why you should befriend men from cultures that are not hostile to us. And when the women ask you, or the men from these cultures ask you, whether the woman's a friend or someone in whom you're interested, hopefully you rather marry than fornicate with her, but you get the point. Whoever asks you what's going on with the sisters, you give them this answer that will serve two things at one. It will serve two purposes at one time. It will hit two birds with one stone. You say to the men or the women, feminism and misandry are the reason why. You simply say, the black woman believes it more than any other woman in the West. No, just say more than any other woman. Say it like that. The black woman believes in feminism and misandry more than any other woman, so they're further along in it, so they reach this stage of it first. And some others are going to follow, but right now it's them. So what's for dinner? You change the topic after you state it. You just state it like that because they're more severe and further along in feminism and misandry. Or you could even just say feminism because they're more severe and further along in feminism. They're deeper into it. They reach this stage of it first, and other women are soon to follow. They just got there first. Then change the topic. What's for dinner? What's for lunch? What's for breakfast? Where are we going out tonight? Whatever the case is, you say it nonchalantly and calmly like that. Oh, they're just further along in the feminism, so they reach the stage first. Some others will follow. They ain't there yet. This is going to hit two birds with one stone. One, it's going to put something in the heads of the listeners that is going to give them something to talk about with their own people, that is going to make feminism and misandry look like the road to not go on before it reaches the level of misandry. That's the first thing. Second thing is that it's going to teach these other ladies as well. They don't want to act like this, or we'll be abandoning them to each other too. And it'll send a message to the men of this society that you don't want to sit back while the women of your society start acting like this. Otherwise, your daughter, when you're dead and gone, your daughter's going to be a 40-year-old ex-thought twerking in restaurants trying to get male attention to compete with a 22-year-old new thoughts. Because she's tired of working and can't do it no more, but she can't get a man to commit and take care of her. And of course, she won't be able to see any other value in a man, which is why he's not going to be able to commit to take care of her, because they'll know that that's all he is. She won't be able to properly value a man, and therefore a man will not be able to value her enough to take care of her, to give her that which she wants, because he knows he's good for nothing else. And she's going to be trying to knock him off. And that's the end of that. So that is a very important thing for you to keep in mind, gentlemen. I see he had to tell you what he told you. Don't go after Keisha no more. Your situation ain't gonna be like mine. Mine's rare. Some of you will find it, very few of you will. If you do, you're the exception, not the rule. But for the most part, do like he said. If you know what, if you ain't hit the lottery yet, don't go looking for it. And when you befriend some of the men and the women from these other cultures that are not hostile to us and therefore really don't deserve to fall victim to this bullshit, you'll be asked the question, certainly. If there are enough young and middle-aged men that will not, in the West, white and black alike, that will not approach women, but we need more. And when more of them start to withdraw, what we're going to start telling the sistering is, the secret's out. You wanted that man anyway. Go get her. You strong, independent. Go get her. You equal to a man. Go get her. Because they're going to get that white dude. Sorry about that. I only get calls when I'm recording. So they'll go and they'll get that white dude. And when they get him, and they meet the results, that is going to be when they understand, not that they're going to learn that lesson and come back to you reformed and anything of that nature, but they're going to learn the lesson in front of the rest of the world. That's going to make them ask you this question, what's going on with black women? And you're going to be able to say, they went too far with this stuff here. And that's where it led them. Because you see, all these non-black men are in on one particular secret, just like all these sisters have been in on their little plots and plans and games and keeping us in the dark, even when we're related to them by blood. These non-black men that are not related to these black women by blood are in on one thing in general, to different degrees, but they're in on one thing in general. They are not going to prefer that sister. That's not going to be the case. She's not going to be the equal to the women of their own groups or to that white woman, even if they like her. Men of other groups that prefer sisters, especially when these men have stuff like wealth or the trappings of it or strong passports, these men are not going, even the ones who like sisters are not going to treat them equally, because they're under too much social pressure to not do that, because she's not seen as a prize. So even the men that like black women would say, well, I mean, she's still not the prize. So it doesn't mean, and he doesn't say anything good about me that I wound up with her, even if she's my type. Maybe something's wrong with me because I like her. It's like a guy that it's like this. They're like the big women. In a free mating market, they're like the big women. Even the guys that might like them wouldn't be seen out in public with them, because these guys are like, well, I mean, I'm not going to be with her just because nobody else could get her. Even if I like her, I'm not going to be with her just because no one else wanted her. It's the same way that the women are looking at the men. Even big women look at big men like this. Well, he's only out with me because no other women wanted him, so I don't want to be seen out with him, even though I'm just as big as he is. Sisters have always been trying to make every last one of us look, or they've always tried to make every last one of us feel like the least wanted man in the world, the last man any woman would want. They've done when you're dark, they've done it when you're light. Very few exceptions to this. Well, what you thought I was going to tell you, they're only hard on light-skinned brothers? No, they're hard on brothers, period. Whoever they can socially justify being difficult to, that's who they're going to be difficult to. In the 90s, it was light-skinned brothers. In the 80s, it was dark-skinned brothers. But they've been on this mission to make you and me and pretty much all of us feel like we're the last one that any woman would want. And the funny thing is that they actually are the last woman that men would want outside of our race. And so they're going to learn that lesson in terms of what it's like to be on the kept out of the secret. They're going to find that out, and it's not going to make him come back to you any better. That's not why I'm saying that. But what it is going to do is it's going to show some other people who don't deserve to be victimized by that same feminism how to stay the hell away from it and what it's going to lead to. Because a bought lesson is better than a taught lesson. So let them buy that lesson and let other groups be able to see this lesson demonstrated instead of us just telling it to them. We'll just be summarizing that lesson when they ask us what the hell happened. What's up with the black women? Oh, that's the natural. I mean, that's on the path to feminism. They just reached that depth first. That's all. I hope that this helps. As always, thanks for listening. Black Heart, Black Mind, Blackout, Black Heterosexual, Non-Select Male Power because they don't like it. Black Patriarchy until Extinction of Judgment Day. Thank you for flying with us again here on Jet Black Air, where the phrase Jet Black's also a verb. Keep jetting black with us till the wings and the wheels fall off. Gender, justice, forever.